This is Rudy Giuliani, and I'm back again with Rudy's Common Sense. Today we have with us Vernon Jones. Vernon is the candidate for governor of Georgia for the Republican Party. He's running against a governor that really did a tremendous damage to both his state and his country, Governor Kemp. I got to know Vernon a lot last year. He had a lot of difficult decisions to make. This is a very, very exceptional man, and I want him to tell his own story, and then we'll get into the issues in the campaign. Vernon, thank you very much. It's nice being here in Georgia, and I felt like last December and January, I felt kind of lived here. So.
Yeah. Well, first of all, welcome to the great state of Georgia. And obviously, you, like many others, have Georgia on your mind. So I'm glad you have Georgia on your mind. I'm glad
right.
to hear.
I've had Georgia. I have dreams about Georgia.
Okay.
Sometimes nightmares, that tape, the tape, moving the ballots here, moving the ballots there.
One way or the other, someone has Georgia on their mind.
Slipping the things like this. I have it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, again, I'm honored to have you here. Obviously, we all know you as America's mayor. And as we approach the anniversary of 9/11, what you did, your leadership, leading the New York City Police Department and the entire city, you did a tremendous job. You showed courage, you demonstrated leadership, you made the tough decisions, and you led that community through that time, which was a very trying time, and you set the model for the country. I learned a lot from you.
Well, thank you. That's really, really...
I was in the legislature, but when 9/11 happened, I was county executive, and so obviously...
County executive of?
DeKalb County, Georgia.
That's one of the big...
Yeah, at the time, it was the largest local government in the state of Georgia. Right. So I had to command a very large police department like you, fire rescue, and all those things, infrastructure. But, you said one time, leadership takes courage, and it does. And the reason why I'm running for governor now, because our governor does not have courage. He doesn't have the ability to stand up and make the tough decisions. He's caved into the left. He's caved into Stacey Abrams. And unfortunately, as a result of that, here we are. We had no integrity in our elections. He wouldn't stand up for election integrity. He didn't stand up for President Trump here. He didn't stand up for those two senators that we lost. So now we're stuck with Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer, which this country now is going down. It's going down a disastrous road.
Yeah, it seems to me it's going down the road to socialism.
Yeah,
and they want to get there as fast as they can.
And even faster than that. Yeah. I mean, they're when you look at what's happening in the borders, when you look at what's happening, how he's dealing with the world leaders now, there's a weakness there, there's a void there. And that's why it's so important. You know this, and with the way Congress is going now, you need a very strong governor. We need strong governors across the state, because a lot of that stuff we can hold the line on that they're trying to put through in Washington. Yeah. And so my legislative background experience, 12 years as a legislator, 8 years as a county executive, but more importantly, having provided in every step I've ever served in bipartisan relationship, getting things done, and being able to stand up to, instead of making the tough decisions, because you and I both know if we try to do what everybody wants, we won't get anything done. Some are just waiting for the next election. I don't give a damn about the next election. I want to make the tough decision. I want to make Georgia the premier place to live. And I want to make this country that way. So goes Georgia, so goes this country. And so let me be clear about this, Mr. Mayor. Georgia is not a blue state. Georgia is a red state.
I always thought it was, Vernon.
Clearly a red state. I want to say to your audience there, Georgia's a red state. What you saw happen is you saw the bullying of Stacey Abrams. She comes in, she loses her elections. She cries foul, files a lawsuit. The governor and the secretary of state, they cave in and they come up with some backroom deal called Stacey's Law. And Stacey's Law was used to supersede state law.
This is extraordinary. What happened here in Georgia is really extraordinary. The law got replaced with an agreement between Stacey Abrams and the Republican elite, let's call it, right?
The leadership of the state.
Secretary of State and the governor.
And the Attorney General.
So now you have this radical Democrat and these three Republicans, and they set up new rules for the election, which I don't know why judges won't look at it. That'll be a book for someone. It's clearly unconstitutional. Only you in the legislature can set the rules for an election.
Well, and that's the point. The Constitution says that only the state legislatures can enact state law as it relates to elections. Yes. Only the legislature. It didn't say in the event of a pandemic that the executive branch can come up with an idea and the judges, the judiciary branch sign off on it, it has to go through the legislative branch. I mean, this is Schoolhouse Rock. And to see Stacey's agreement not come to the legislature for us to ratify. And by the way, we were in session. They could have easily brought that to us.
I testified.
They avoided that
several times.
It was avoided.
I remember the frustration of your members, mostly Republican, but I remember some Democrats like you that were very, very upset about this.
Let me tell you, primarily because it usurped our authority to provide for election laws. And when we found out about this agreement, it was just after the elections. We didn't even know about it prior to the elections.
I'm not even sure I remember that. You didn't know about the agreement?
We had no idea. This came out after the election. This agreement,
explain what it did. I mean, it totally changed all those all the absentee ballots, no identification.
Yeah, what it did when Stacey lost and filed the lawsuit, the governors and the Secretary of State and the Attorney General, they came up with this agreement. They agreed. Part of that agreement said one thing was we're going to have these ENET signature verifications. ENET. Now, there's no in our state statute that says anything about ENET.
Right.
Next, under the governor's so-called emergency powers, they established what we call drop-off boxes. We had never heard of drop-off boxes. Never. Now, we were in session. We had to recess that February because of COVID. And we didn't come back into session until around June to finish up the session. That agreement was done and stamped by the courts in March. We still not knowing anything because literally when we came back in June, they could have said, well, wait a minute, here's the agreement we're working on. I mean, they should have.
If they were acting legally and constitutionally
and publicly above
simple
board.
way to do it, they come right to the legislature and say, the governor and the Democrats, we made an agreement, we want you to legislate.
We want you to ratify.
And then you can change it or
we not vote on it at all because we don't want, but the fact of it is, if we had seen that garbage, there's no way in the world that would have passed, Mr. Mayor. Brian Kemp cut and ran on election integrity. He cut and ran on his president. As a result of that, I've said it many times, we have Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. And when I think of the three of them, I think of the Wizard of Oz. One has no heart, the other has no courage, and the other was damn sure has no brains. And we know which one has no brains.
Well, we're going to take a short break on that note.
But also, they're not being led by Dorothy and Toto, but by the Wicked Witch of the South, Stacey Abrams.
Oh, I thought you could pick Pelosi. No, she's the Wicked Witch of the West.
No, she has no courage.
Oh, she has no courage.
Plenty hair, but no courage.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break, and I think you're going to come back. This is a very interesting interview, and we're going to talk about some of the other issues in this campaign because this guy is a across-the-board candidate. I mean, he's a man with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and he's got the one thing that we really need right now to save America. He's got guts. We'll be back shortly. I accomplished a lot in 2020, exposing the truth, establishing the relationship with you, working tirelessly for America. And I came to know the work and value of the people at American Hartford Gold. You see, you buy gold not only for what you know, but you buy gold for what you don't know. American Hartford Gold is the company you can trust when it comes to buying gold. They sell physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside of your IRA. In the precious metals industry, they are the highest rated firm in our country with an A+ from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied clients. Give them a call and tell them Rudy sent you. And be sure to ask them what I bought. And if you call them right now, they will give you up to $1,500 of free silver on your first order. Folks, these are uncertain times. The one thing you can count on to protect what you have worked so hard for is physical gold and silver. So don't wait. Call them now. Call 833-GOLD-777. That's 833-GOLD-777. Or text Rudy to 65532. Again, that's 833-GOLD-777. Or text Rudy to 65532. We're back again with this very interesting interview with, I believe, the next governor of the state of Georgia who's going to straighten the place out, which will help straighten the country out. Now, let's talk about how did you make the decision to run? Why are you running for governor? Which is always a good question to ask anybody running. What's in your belly, in your heart, in your mind that makes you want to run?
You know, Mr. Mayor, when I first started to run for office 30 years ago, I ran because I was inspired by politicians. People like yourself had that strong leadership working on both sides of the aisles. Now I'm running because I'm frustrated and I'm disappointed by politicians.
And we need that. We need that.
You know, and so I was leaving the legislature. I came out for President Trump because President Trump, in the past 4 years in my mind, had done more for this country than any president in modern times. And when I looked at the economy prior to the pandemic, he had it on steroids. People were getting jobs, unemployment was low and record low. At the same time, people of color had more jobs than going back to slavery. I went to Historical Black College, North Carolina Central University.
Yes.
I think one of our engineers here went to North Carolina A&T. I won't hold that against him, but anyhow, these schools came about because African Americans couldn't go to many of these majority schools, and they became the incubators, and they trained some of the best in art, science, religion.
Which actually gives you the historical part of the culture. Education is very important.
Yeah, no,
very important to black family. Going way back.
My mom and dad, they didn't make it past the third grade. They had to take turns to work because they were sharecroppers, and if they didn't focus on anything, well, religion, faith was strong, hard work, and you get an education, and it changed my life. But that perspective, what he did for HBCUs, which is open to everybody, not just black students go there, black and white students, everybody goes there. But the fact of him writing that funding into law, that had never happened by any president.
None of the Democrats who get all of the
they get all the black votes, but they don't do anything for them. And so then I looked at what he did for criminal justice reform. When Joe Biden wrote the crime bill that literally destroyed an entire generation, President Trump came back and said, wait a minute, the crime didn't match the time. And we all tough on crime. We have to be tough on crime.
Yeah, sure.
But what he said, look, let's restore these folks, nonviolent offenders, give them opportunity to get jobs, to start their businesses, get back with their families, and be a stronger America. And what he did with Opportunity Zone districts, where failed policies by Democrats, neighborhoods and communities were destroyed, Opportunity Zone district gave everybody opportunity, both black and white, anybody want to invest in it, create businesses, redevelop the areas, housing and commercial, and hire people from that area. Those are good things by this president. He stood up to the world leaders. We don't hear from Rocket Man anymore. And he let the chairman of China know, look, you're not going to take advantage of us. You're not going to charge us these outrageous rates for tariffs, and we don't retaliate in some form. And so this president's been good and the leadership, and he puts America first. Why not put your country first? The others put their country first. That's not being racist. You want to call them a nationalist, call me a nationalist too, because I believe in taking care of home first. You know, what he did with the border, look at the border. In the previous administration, they were coming across the border with no regards to our sovereign laws. They just said, hey, we can do this, and then they were catching them and they were releasing them. They're not going to come at the court. President Trump came in, started building the wall. He stopped the catch and release and started doing catch and returns. He told Mexico, look, these caravans coming through there for other countries, let them apply for asylum where you are, and then they can come to the U.S., and if you don't stop them, we're going to cut your funding. You know, this president just stood up. And so I'm like, wait a minute.
That's a big decision, though.
It's huge.
Vernon, for you were
lifelong Democrat.
An executive in one of the biggest counties. Mm-hmm. You know, one of the jobs right below the governor in terms of executive power.
Yeah, no question.
And this change had to be a big.
I've always been a conservative.
A big thing for you.
Let me tell you this: I've always been a conservative. That's how black families were reared. We were reared conservative. Democrats, liberals, hijacked black families, and they destroyed black families. Now it's time for black families to destroy the liberals. We were very much faith-based, hard work. We didn't want the government intervention. Matter of fact, the government was hurting us. You know, we didn't want them in our lives. And the Democrats literally have the African-American votes, but they were carrying a liberal agenda. They didn't have the African-American community at all. So President Trump, when I saw what he did, but then, when I came out, you'd have thought all hell broke loose. The Democratic Party said, well, I don't share their values, and I'm an embarrassment to the party. I should resign. But I'm looking at Democrats. They're supporting children being injected with hormones and transgender operations in their children. And you have to be 18 to vote and 21 to buy cigarettes. You don't do that to kids. They're still developing. I don't care about somebody's lifestyle.
Basically,
conservative value.
Happened to be younger, but of course I'm older than you are. I was a Democrat when I started. I supported Kennedy. I supported even Lyndon Johnson. And all of a sudden, I woke up one day and the party wasn't me anymore.
No.
They were too soft. In those days, we had the Cold War. They were too soft on the Soviet Union. All they wanted to do is make deals with the Soviet Union. They had put into effect these social programs, which at first I thought were wonderful. As a prosecutor, I put everybody in jail.
Yeah.
Poor people weren't getting any money.
Yeah.
There was a model cities administration. Nobody got a penny. All the politicians took all the money. So I said, I can't be part of this party anymore. We got to try something different. So I think you probably were also very moved by the results that he had in the African American community.
Well,
he proved himself.
He did more. He got more minority votes than any Republican has in the past, I would say, 40 years, and which became a big threat to the Democrats because they're used to just having black people voting for them. What did Joe Biden say? Well, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Extraordinary statement, like he owns the vote.
And he didn't have to pay for it by the media. Then he's come out more recently and said what? That black people, the reason why their businesses aren't successful is because they don't have accountants and lawyers. Well, I have an accountant, I have a lawyer, and they're both black, but I didn't hire them because they're black because they're the best. But even black lawyers and accountants were saying, what the hell is he talking about? And so when you look at the Democratic Party, they don't want to fund police. They want to handcuff police and release the criminals.
So in my experience, and I think this would be true of my police commissioners, you know Bernie Carrick really well.
Outstanding man.
The black community, when I would go there, were angry at me that I didn't have enough police there. And I put a disproportionate number. I changed the whole staffing pattern of New York City Police Department. I put the cops where the crime was.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the civil rights troublemakers said I was putting too many police in the community and having protests. But then when I would go to town hall meetings, the mothers and the fathers would say, we need more cops, we need more cops, we need more cops. And I said, what about the brutality? Look, he said, brutality is a problem. You got to work on it. But when we balance it off, my kids got like a 50, 60, 100% greater chance of being killed by another black kid than a cop.
Yeah.
So I want those black kids straightened out.
Well, what's interesting, you have to strike a balance. I mentioned I commanded a large police department. I lost several officers during my tenure. I lost 2 in one night, killed by a black perpetrator, by the way. And when I had to go to those families and see those young mothers and those young kids, but where was the outrage for those black families? There was 2 officers killed, and both of them black. There was no outrage at all. And it seemed like it's an outrage when a white officer is involved in a shooting with a black person. And if Black lives want to say all lives matter, look at what's happening in Chicago. Look what's happening in New York. You made New York, and your commissioner, Bernard Kirk, made New York probably safe as it's ever been in the history of New York. It's certainly in modern times.
It was for almost 20 years in a row the safest large city in America.
Right.
And now it's gone through 2 years of incredible 100% growth in shooting. 100%.
Well, they're hard on officers. Matter of fact, in Atlanta, they have a no chase policy. How are you going to apprehend a criminal if you can't chase him? Doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
And whether it's on feet, or whether it's on foot, or whether it's in car. I mean, imagine this. A guy's fleeing in a car. Now, that's a 2,000-pound gun putting the public at risk.
Of course, cars kill people.
That perpetrator who's running, it needs to be a crime, a felon for you to flee like that in a car, because you know what? The people's lives you're putting in danger. 100%. And because the police department, the politicians say, oh, you can't follow. Right, but the politicians say, oh, you can't chase him. Well, they know you can't chase him. What they're gonna do? They're gonna strike and run because you can't chase them.
And does the governor? You've had a tremendous rise in crime in Atlanta and surrounding areas. You along with maybe 10 other Democrat cities, it's extraordinary. You're setting records for increased crime. Does the governor do anything to try to help?
Well, the governor, you got to understand, he's never had to command a local police department. State troopers, by and large, they just do traffic stops. No, he hasn't engaged them like they should have been engaged with the local, augmenting the local police departments, giving them additional training, let them enforce the doggone law. Put them out there.
He could set out a whole program.
This is
a program you should follow. If you follow this program, we'll give you money. We'll help. I mean, a governor could help tremendously in doing
A
that.
government can help a lot, but again, I'll say what I say. Matter of fact, I just found out just recently, it's breaking news now, that a police officer was just shot here in Atlanta. I mean, since we've been talking,
Right near here.
shot down right near here in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, you can't escape.
Now, let's see if there's going to be an outrage. 2 weeks ago, I attended a funeral. Officer, traffic stop, routine stop, gets dragged, killed, been on the police department a year and a half, family, 26 years old. Where's the outrage? You see, that's the hypocrisy. That is the hypocrisy of this, Mr. Mayor. All lives should matter. Certainly blue lives should matter. I'm one of those going to stand with my law enforcement. I'm not going to back down, back away, and back off. Officers now want to leave because either they're going to be prosecuted or they're going to be fired for doing their job.
Yep.
So now you're seeing there's a tremendous void in law enforcement officers, and they're leaving. They got a lot of experience, but they're leaving these jurisdictions where, they could be put in jail.
Time to take a short break. Your credit card company found suspicious charges on your card. That's simple identity theft. It's annoying, but they cover it. The type of fraud you really need to worry about is home title theft, a devastating crime that takes you off your home's title. And you're not covered by insurance or most identity theft programs. That's why you need Home Title Lock. Here's how easy it is for cyber criminals to get you. The title documents to our homes are kept online. The thief forges your signature on a quitclaim deed stating you just sold your home, and he's the new owner. Then he borrows money using your home's equity and leaves you in debt. You won't know until late payment or eviction notices arrive. The instant Home Title Lock detects someone tampering with your home's title, they help shut it down. Let's get you protected. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim. And enter Rudy for 30 free days of protection. That's promo code Rudy at HometitleLock.com. And now we'll get back to our interview of Vernon Jones.
The immunity is being taken away.
Vernon, it's my experience that if you get elected, and I'm
when
certain
when
you will,
we get elected,
I'm certain you will. Even before you put any programs in, you're going to see a reduction in crime because the cops are going to have more morale.
Yeah.
I mean, morale in these difficult jobs, morale counts for so much.
Yeah.
So if the police officer is worried, if I break in the middle of this shooting, I might shoot the wrong person, and I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life.
Right.
He waits. If he knows he's got a governor, he's got a mayor, he's got a police commissioner, that they're going to give him a break. They're going to say, okay, we understand their difficult situations. We're going to stand with you. We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Then he acts bravely.
You and I both know that use of force is the last resort. Either the officer's life is in danger or the public's life is in danger. But if that officer has to hesitate on what's going to happen to me if I take this next step.
I have seen that happen. Yeah.
What you're going to see happen. Either he's going to lose his life or you're going to see someone in the public lose their life.
I've seen that. I've seen that happen. Now, you have done something that I really, really like because, there's so much information people get. They don't know very often it comes down to vote. They don't know what they're voting for or what the principle. I think they know about you because of your career, that you're a strong man, you're a man of conviction, you're an honest man, and you were a very good executive. So that's great for being a governor. But you did something that I think is, you made a deal with the voters.
Yeah.
This is
a real agreement, not in the back room.
Yeah, not
listening
and
to
they're
them.
You're going to let them know before the election, not after. Right? This is out now, right?
It's out right now. I have a contract. This is my contract with Georgia.
We're going to put it up so you can see it and look at it, and it's concise, to the point, and it hits all every state should have this.
Yeah, and let me just tell you, quite frankly, one is election integrity.
Of course.
I want to make sure that day one, we conduct a full forensic audit of the 2020 election in all 159 counties. As governor, I can authorize that.
And so you don't make the same mistake again.
Not only so we don't make the same mistake, but this is the first time we've had the Dominion system. It's the first time. Don't you think we'd want an audit to see if we're getting the results that we should be getting? It's the first time we've used it. The second thing, we will have a meeting, an exploratory committee that will come together and evaluate, because we want to have a system that the public can trust. We want to make sure
And understand.
And that is American made, and the data is housed here in America, and not some foreign country.
They just finished a Democrat primary in New York. They have ranked voting. I have a radio show. I had 4 election experts on with me. None of them could explain it. Then we called the election commissioner. He couldn't explain it. So now it's a week and a half after the election. We're not going to have a winner in this election for about another 2 months. They discovered 100,000 votes. They don't know if they're real votes or test votes.
Yeah.
They have 125,000 paper ballots, which who knows if they're valid or not. Adams was leading. His lead got cut in half immediately. The guy thought he had won.
Where's Jimmy Carter when we need him? All right, why is he up there?
But the people attacking this election, it's okay. They can do that.
Right.
But so, I mean, Democrats, they don't have to run cities. They don't have to run states. They don't have to run elections.
They know how to run their mouths.
Know how to make money too.
Yeah. Stacey Abrams, look at her.
Yeah.
Running a mouth and making money at the same time.
Well, so you got another one here that everybody in New York is going to get very nervous about. You want to do away with income tax.
Yeah.
So we'll all come here instead of go to Florida.
You know, Andrew Cuomo, the governor up there, we call him the best real estate agent for Florida because he screwed things up so much. A lot of people moving down to Florida. But Georgia, it's time for Georgia either drastically reduce state income taxes or eliminate it altogether. And I am focused on that. Let people keep their money. And I think that's important in terms of our Georgia first economy. The next thing is the Second Amendment. Let me tell you, I believe in the right to bear arms. Don't take my guns away from me. All right, I want to be able to protect my family. I want to be able to protect my personal items. I want to be able to be a hunter. I'm a sports guy. I like to go out in wildlife. I like to hunt. But what is happening, they want to take our guns, so only the outlaws will have guns and we can't defend ourselves. But those who want to take our guns, they have security protecting them. No, we should have the right to bear arms.
The mayor of New York has restricted guns tremendously. And then he did away with the unit in the police department that got the guns from the bad guys, the anti-crime unit. Got rid of the 600 cops who were experts in getting guns from the bad guys. And I go all around the country trying to make this point. Gun control doesn't work with criminals.
No.
Criminals don't get a license. They don't. If some guy's going to hold up a liquor store, he doesn't go in and get a license before that. Organized crime, drug dealers, they don't get a license. So licenses only affect legit people.
Right.
So if you're going to put too many restrictions on legit people, you're doing nothing. The criminals are going to be.
Look at Chicago, the most restrictive gun laws in America.
77 people shot last weekend. 77 people shot.
But those lives, and many were black, but those black
and they've been
lives
Democratic 50 years. When will the people of Chicago just stop the Pavlovian Democrat? 77 people shot.
That's what scares me about me and my campaign. I'm able to draw and wake up those Democrats, certainly those minorities who've been voting Democrat primary because they know they're being screwed by them, but they haven't trusted Republicans. Donald Trump showed you by policy, not by some program, but by policy, by creating jobs and helping businesses get off the ground, how you can get the minority vote. And so this is what's killing the liberals.
I think that's one of the big things that really frightened them so much.
Yeah.
They felt they had to take them out.
Yeah.
Because if they ever lost, even if they lost, if it went to like 70-30, they'd be finished.
They'd be finished.
Yeah.
The other is protecting our children. This CRT thing, they call it critical race theory. It's a crazy race theory. Matter of fact, it takes one child and say this child based on your color, you're superior. You're superior, and the other child based on his color, you're inferior. You're pitting one against the other already. You're telling one he's less than the other, he's better than. Why are you turning them against each other? Doesn't make any sense. This whole indoctrination of embracing Marxism and socialism and communism, we're teaching that as opposed to teaching, wait a minute, America's values. I mean, it is crazy. And when I look at CRT, you're saying that because of someone's color, they can't succeed, they can't do this.
Well, how about the craziness that black people can't get identification? There's a great video done. It was done a few years ago. I'll get it for you. Right after they made this claim that black people, it's discriminatory to require black people to get identification.
A photo ID.
This guy went up to Harlem, right in the middle of Harlem, a block I know really well. and he interviews about 8 black people. One guy almost hit him. He says to the guy, do you have identification? What are you asking me that for?
It's demeaning.
He said, well, they say that, but he didn't really, he was like using it.
Yeah.
The guy got like annoyed.
Yeah.
He said, what do you mean we don't have?
I saw that.
He said, well, first of all, let me point out to you, everybody has to have the picture for welfare. They got to have it for welfare. They got to have it for their job.
Healthcare.
They got to have it for healthcare.
Hotel. You check in a hotel. Check out a library.
But black people don't have lawyers and to help them.
We don't have free photo IDs.
He said, I own 2 businesses. I have 3 lawyers. In fact, I'm trying to cut down. My lawyers charge too much.
I have 2 lawyers.
I have 3 lawyers. I want to cut down. And they all pointed out, he got them around then too, that's racism.
Yeah.
When you say black people can't get identification.
No, can't get a free photo ID because it's free.
Yeah.
They call the law here Jim Crow law because they can't get a free photo ID. But wait a minute, I have yet to meet, and I want somebody, I hope I'm looking in your camera. Can somebody show me one black person in Georgia who's complaining that they do not have a free photo ID and they can't vote and they're being suppressed? Just one, because I have not been able to find one yet. Just one. Can't find them. But see, Democrats, the liberals use that to scare black people to stay on the plantation.
Around? We'll take a brief interruption with this very, very interesting interview. I've been sleeping on my pillows for some time. I love them. They're simply the very best pillows ever made. But I just found out that they also have a wide assortment of other incredible products like their mattress toppers, sheets, towels, and slippers, and more. Listeners have helped build My Pillow into the incredible company it is today, and Mike Lindell wants to give back to all of you. Pick some pillows or pick several of the other great products, and you can get super discounts on My Pillow products by going to mypillow.com, promo code Rudy, or call 1-800-725-7759, promo code Rudy right now, and see each of the specially priced items, including those in the radio listener special square. You're going to see rotational offers up to 66% off on products like the pillows, mattress topper, and geyser sheets, but also new products like their slippers, weighted blankets, robes, and waffle blankets. All My Pillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Enter promo code Rudy for these new great specials. That's mypillow.com, promo code Rudy. Thank you for returning.
But Mr. Mayor, when you go to the polls, you have to show photo ID.
Yeah.
They're saying that, we don't have a photo ID to mail a copy in with our mail-in ballots. That's what, and it's voter suppression. And then, wait a minute, they're saying now, Stacey Abrams, because we moved the length of time, it was 3 months before a runoff, now it's down to 45 days. Oh, that's voter suppression because a person now, a black person can't now go in 45 days to vote in a runoff. When in fact, I'm a state legislator. I remember when the law was 3 weeks, a runoff. I got elected in a runoff in 3 weeks,
right.
And I've gotten elected in a runoff when it was 3 months. I've never heard a black person say to me, this is suppressing me because your runoff period is 3 weeks versus 3 months. But these are the things they put up there.
Yeah.
And when I think about Major League Baseball, I got to say this.
Oh, yeah, please tell me about that. About how
Major League Baseball.
I was so angry at that.
Stacey Abrams gets to the Major League Baseball commissioner, get them to pull out of Georgia.
What's wrong with him?
Well, I'll tell you in a minute. Get them to pull out in Georgia. And it's all because it's Jim Crow bill. Now, they're supposedly, in the baseball, you keep statistics. They never even read the damn bill. Nothing in that bill suppresses anybody. However, state of New York's election laws are much more restricted than Georgia's. And Major League Baseball headquarters are there. And then they move from Atlanta with a 51% black population, and they take it to Denver with a 9% black population. But it was supposed to be in the name of helping black people. No, you hurt black businesses.
And essentially the same law. No difference in the law. In fact, Colorado's a little bit more strict.
You see what I'm saying?
A little strict.
So I'm like, what in the world are you saying? Now, then Coca-Cola steps in. Coca-Cola does the same thing. But in the meantime, Coca-Cola has been training its white employees to act less white. What is that about? And then Delta, try to get on Delta without a photo ID. They pitched in, Jim Crow. But try to go to Delta and get on without a photo ID. I mean, the hypocrisy of this.
So How do the people of Georgia feel about that law that's getting so much?
I think when you break it down to them and you just
It's all
explain
common
the
sense. The law is
facts.
common sense.
But see, you got to understand, the Republican Party, when they rolled it out, they didn't roll it out educating people. They try to rush and get something through. They didn't roll it out right.
As
the
usual,
liberals
we got
took,
outspun.
We got out. There you go. And so what the first thing, and here's ironic, Stacey Abrams ready to sign off on Joe Manchin's bill in Washington on the voters bill that requires a photo voter ID. But then she would complain about the one down here. This is just, but it plays to the fears of African Americans. So the other thing too, a couple things.
Protect our children.
Ban CRT.
Thank God.
And the next thing, we're going to start, and every day in our classroom, kids going to start, public schools, saying a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Maybe
we've lost that.
If we do that, maybe the president will learn it.
Well, that would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
I don't think Basement Joe Biden.
The United States. You know the rest. You know.
He's out lunch.
The thing. Okay. So
and
no more jokes. We don't have.
No more jokes.
No more jokes.
The hate crime bill.
I think that's. By the way, I think that pledge of allegiance pledge that you make is critical. Yeah. And I know you're a big supporter of school choice for parents.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. Here's what's interesting. I want to say to every black parent that's listening out there, and every parent, period, I support school choice because of this. Nobody knows what's best for their child's education other than the parents, not the federal government, not state government. Parents should be able to send their child to a performing school. Let the money follow the child. The way it is right now, that child is trapped in a failing school based on their parents' address. And that child has to go there. In the meantime, if that mother decides, I'm going to go and I'm going to do like the legals do when they come to America. I'm going to go and enroll my child in a performing school. I'm going to lie about my address. When they find out that parent lied about their address, first thing they do, they throw the child out. They don't say, wait a minute, this child got here to no fault of their own. This child needs to have a good education.
Right.
There's no sanctuary system for this child in that school. He gets thrown out. And then the mother is subject to be arrested. But then illegals can come from out of this country in here legally and get better wraparound services than our own United States.
So I'm for pro. Because we're giving up on a generation by doing that. I mean, the reality is this is when I was the mayor, I tried very hard with a totally black district, a middle-class black district who wanted it very badly to do choice. And the teachers union came in and threatened the Board of Education. They threatened the woman who had the
It's
key
about
vote.
the teachers, not about the child.
They threatened her with her. They said her daughter would go no further if they voted for this. Now, 68% of African-American parents in a recent poll are in favor of it. Yeah. And 99% of African-American politicians are against it.
And they have some control in their child's education. Again,
but this is racist. This is also racist. Like, the idea is the state is going to know better because what do these people know about children?
You know, to me, I got to say liberals are the most racist, and here's why I say that. Because they think they know what's best for black people. We're not supposed to even think for ourselves. They're supposed to think for us. And they'll even build us a habitat house, but not in their neighborhoods.
Right. And you don't know how to use the internet. That was
Joe Biden said the reason why black people are affected by COVID than whites is because blacks don't know how to go online and get on the internet.
This lady that was interviewed said to the guy, let's have a little test. I better know the internet better than you do.
It's crazy.
So now we also have the hate crime. Hate crime?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I want to pass a hate crime bill in Georgia, primarily because right now you can be attacked based on your political ideology or party affiliation. Look at what has happened to Sarah Huckabee. Look at what happened to Candace Owens. We can go on down the line, a lot of folks who've been attacked. Look at me.
Many of my friends. Oh, well, yeah, I remember when you...
Leaving Washington, me and Rand Paul that night, we both were attacked.
I saw you the next
by
day.
Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And I'm looking at myself, am I not black? It wasn't about black. There's this ideology. And if the liberals, if you don't follow what they say and how they do it and why they do it, they come at you. But it was supposed to be about Black Lives Matter, but I was a Black Lives Matter, and I was being attacked by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. So I want to make it a hate crime. If you attack someone based on their party affiliation or their political ideology, you're going to be jailed.
And the peaceful protest act.
The last one, we all believe in the freedom to protest peacefully.
Yeah.
But when I see mayors like in Atlanta, other cities let folks come and burn up the city, and you want to give them a free rein, and they block interstates, no. You blocking interstates now, you're going to jail. We're going to make sure that you are not going to be disrupting people's lives. You come here, especially these out-of-towners, it'll be a while before they get back out of town to get back home because we're going to lock them up. And I want us to protest peacefully, but if they know they can come in and just tear your city
Sure,
up, and you got these professionals, they go from city to city to city, and then the district attorneys, a lot of district attorneys who've been funded and got elected using George Soros's money, they don't even want to prosecute the cases.
You got one of them here, right?
We have two of them here.
You got a Soros.
We have two of them, one in DeKalb, one in Fulton County. We have
Soros-owned DA.
It's a mess.
All right.
It's a mess,
well,
Mr. Mayor.
You can see that this man has not only the right ideas, but he's got the energy and the drive and the commitment to do it. So a lot of people are going to be very interested in this. Vernon, how can they help you?
Mr. Mayor, that's a good point. I want them to go to my website, jonesforgeorgia.com, donate. If you got friends down in Georgia, let them know. Tell them to come out and vote for us. Go online, get information. We're running a campaign that's an inclusive campaign. I'm probably going to break records as a Republican running for governor, picking up minority votes. And those Democrats, those conservative Democrats who had nowhere else to go and looking for someone
you're going to get people to vote consistent with their interests, and you're going to break the web of propaganda. 68% of black families want choice, and 90% of black politicians are blocking it because they're owned by the teachers union. They just got to make that connection.
And they all want safe neighborhoods.
And they all want, absolutely.
And let me tell you, a lot of this is being done by the liberal Democrats who really have sucked the brains out of black people where they can't think for themselves. And this is not just about black, because a lot of Democrats, it's been sucked out.
And the media.
The media is leading the charge. The liberal media, they won't have me on, they've never had me on CNN because they can't get me to call Trump a racist. Now, they can get me to call Joe Biden one, but they don't want me to do that. And Joe Biden really is one. You know what I'm saying? They want me to get on there and claim that I'm a victim. I'm not a victim. My parents didn't raise me to be a victim. Look, life is not easy, but I have a hell of a lot more opportunities than my parents have. And I know my kids have a much better opportunity than I have. That's what it's all about.
And we got to make it better.
You've got to make it better for the next generation. So this victimhood, I mean, again, that black people cannot afford a free ID, that black people are going to be worried about they can't get water and food when they go and vote in line, when in fact they can, but they were told they can't. You just can't do it within a certain feet of the polls. That makes sense. You can't do that now.
Right.
But that's what liberals do. They play the Jim Crow line to scare blacks to stay in on the plantation and not thinking open, not becoming woke and voting their true interests. You know, that's what it comes down to. And that's why they're afraid of me. Go to jonesforgeorgia.com.
Jones for Georgia. This man is going to be great for Georgia, and Georgia needs a lot of change. You can see that. It's going to be great for America, too. I mean, this is exactly what we have to fight to keep our way of life. And this is what this man's doing. He's fighting for us to keep our way of life, for black people, white people, all people. We're all Americans. We're all together as Americans. We need people who can make that happen, and we have to stop this division. And
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vernon's got the strength to get it done. So make sure you help him. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back in a few days with another episode of Rudy's Common Sense.